Kevin O'Brien and Hamish Marshall both smashed hundreds as Gloucestershire posted the highest ever domestic T20 score of 254 for 3 against Middlesex to beat them by 105 runs on an astonishing day at Uxbridge. David Milan, deputising for the rested Neil Dexter, won the toss and chose to field first. And after both batsmen played themselves in, with only one run coming from the first over, bowled by Toby Rowland-Jones, Marshall then took on his former teammate Anthony Ireland, with 10 coming from his opening over. O'Brien, the Irishman who smashed records when his country beat England in the World Cup earlier this year, showed his talents here with a thumping 6 off Ryan McLaren as the visitors made a good start on a sweltering day. It was just the start of something extraordinary. The opener looked in wonderful touch as he also launched Rowland-Jones into the car park with a massive hit. O'Brien was going hard at almost every ball and he hit a third maximum in the game's 5th over, this time off a McLaren full toss. Thanks to his scintillating striking, Gloucestershire raced to their 50 in the first 5 overs without losing a wicket. The Panthers twice missed opportunities to get rid of the dangerous O'Brien in the power play overs, and those misses were becoming costly as the Irishman straight drove his 4th 6. The next ball also went for 6 to take O'Brien to his 50 off just 22 deliveries as 70 was scored off the opening 6 overs. It was becoming a one-man show at this stage as O'Brien then took on his countryman Paul Stirling with yet another 6 in what was becoming an astonishing innings. Almost every ball he faced seemed to be heading towards the boundary. This was O'Brien at the peak of his game. The Gladiators brought up their 100 in just the 9th over. That arrived courtesy of number 6 from the outstanding O'Brien. It was simply a fantastic display of hitting, which Marshall then joined in by hitting Tom Smith for a maximum. Before O'Brien was at it yet again 2 balls later. At the halfway stage of their innings, Gloucestershire had already posted an incredible 121 without loss. And the hitting still didn't stop. Number 9 for O'Brien was drilled over cover point off Jamie Dalrymple as he closed in on a sensational century, which he amazingly reached with his 7th 4 to get to 3 figures after only 48 minutes at the crease, in which he'd faced just 44 balls. Marshall then slog-swept Dalrymple for his 2nd 6 to bring up the 150 in the 13th over. His 50 followed from his 33rd delivery. He'd struck 2 6s and 4 4s in what was a quiet innings in comparison to O'Brien's, although he hadn't had as much of the strike. Not that Marshall was being sluggish by any means. The 12th 6th of the innings followed in the 14th over as Gloucestershire looked like breaking all kinds of records. The Kiwi was starting to pick up his pace, and another 6 followed as Tom Smith dropped the ball in short. That meant that these two had posted the highest ever first wicket 2020 partnership in this country. No one could stop the chaos and the Irishman struck his 10th maximum as this pair scored the highest ever domestic T20 partnership, beating the 186 made against Gloucestershire in 2006 by Justin Langer and Cameron White for Somerset. The awesome O'Brien then struck his 11th 6 as he moved on to 119 made from 52 balls to take that stand to 192 in the 16th over. This from a man whose previous best 2020 score was only 39. Finally, his innings was ended next ball, as for once he didn't connect perfectly and was well held in the deep by Dalrymple. His 119 had occupied only 52 balls, in which he'd struck 11 6s and 7 4s. Not that Gloucestershire were by any means finished yet. Acting captain Kane Williamson joined in the fun with successive bounties off Smith on his arrival at the wicket. And now Gloucestershire had the domestic T20 team record in their sights. They themselves had been hit for 250 by Somerset 5 years ago, and as we went into the final 2 overs here, they had 229 on the board after Williamson continued the incredible series of 6 hitting. He'd fallen at the end of the 17th over, caught in the deep off Rowland-Jones for 18. But more records tumbled as Marshall hit his 11th boundary to incredibly also reach 100 off only 52 balls. He'd also hit 4 6s, and it was the first time that 2 players had scored centuries in the same T20 innings. He was out next ball as he mispulled Ireland to Milan at mid-wicket to depart for 102, but that was to take nothing away from a remarkable knock. A 4 off the final ball ensured that we did have a new domestic team record, as Gloucestershire went on to make a remarkable 254 for 3 from their 20 overs, only 6 short of the world record made by Sri Lanka against Kenya. So Middlesex had to go after everything from ball 1 in their reply. Williamson cleverly employed himself to open and had Paul Sterling caught on the mid-wicket boundary by Marshall to the 3rd delivery of the innings before a run had been scored. Adam Rossington followed in the next over as the Panthers made the worst possible start to their reply, now 2 wickets down with just 1 run on the board. Milan tried to rescue a somewhat hopeless situation after Matthias Muratharan came on in the 3rd over. But he lost Scott Newman at the other end as he holed out to O'Brien at long off John Lewis at 15 for 3. There was little else for the batsmen to do but try to hit their way out of trouble. Milan had certainly not given up hope, even though the task was by now nigh on impossible, with the Panthers only able to get to 36 for 3 at the end of their power play overs. However, that task got just that bit harder when McLaren nicked Lewis behind to go for 4 at 44 for 4 in the 7th over. Milan too went in the next one, stumped by Richard Coftree off Ed Young, as Middlesex headed for a very big defeat. To make matters worse, a shoulder injury then saw Dalrymple retire hurt on what was fast becoming a day to forget for Middlesex. But these things do happen in T20 cricket, where things can go wrong very quickly. Muratharan then had Josh Davies stumped for 7 at 67 for 6, and the biggest ever defeat by runs looked on the cards. The asking rate had got up to 25 runs per over by the 14th over, which John Simpson was trying to have a go at as he struck a second 6 of the innings. He top scored with 38 but fell with a total on 124 in the 18th over when he was held at long off. Although well over as a contest, Middlesex to their credit kept on going. Smith helped himself to a creditable 36 not out, while Roland Jones struck another 6 on a day filled with them. There were 19 in all during this extraordinary day of cricket. Roland Jones was out at the end for 12 as Middlesex ended on 149 for 8 to lose emphatically by 105 runs. They'll be looking for immediate revenge against Gloucestershire as LV County Championship action returns to Uxbridge with a 4-day game beginning on Monday with Andrew Strauss back playing for his county.